draw. And I'm going to make the cow smile, because he's not going extinct. He's got horns. And here's the buffalo. The buffalo is unhappy because he's going extinct. Wait, I forgot the horns. Well, why is it that the cow was never within a million years of going extinct, and the buffalo was? Why do they have all these commie songs about home on the range with the buffalo roam and all that stuff that they teach our kids? The reason is that the buffalo was not privately owned. If you killed a buffalo, the alternative or opportunity cost of killing a buffalo were nothing, because you wouldn't have the buffalo anyway. You'd be hightailing it over the land. Whereas if you killed a cow, you wouldn't have that cow tomorrow. So the cost of killing a cow are very significant. You don't go into the lower 40 with a machine gun and start shooting all your cows. But you do it with buffalo because they'll run away. So the key is to fence them in. And then they have these "don't fence me in" crappy songs, you know. That's just socialist songs. And we don't stop that. Okay, next one is running out of resources. Julian Simon had a bet with Paul Ehrlich. Paul Ehrlich won this award from the MacArthur Genius Award. Genius. And the debate, or the bet was, are we running out of resources? So they picked 5 resources. I forget, copper, tin, corn, things like that. And they said, well, if the relative price goes up, well, then we are. And if it goes down, then we're not running out of resources. And guess who won the bet? Julian Simon won the bet. The point is that if in any incipient tendency to run out of resources, what's going to happen to the price? The price is going to rise. When we have less supply, right? Less supply, other things equal, the price rises. The price rises, it has 2 salutary effects. On the supply side, we look for substitutes, we dig deeper to find the oil, or we get more technology to find the oil. And on the demand side, we use less of it. We use substitutes, or we just get smaller cars or whatever without the government telling us to do that. So we never really run out of resources. Because any attempt to run out of resources sets up market conditions through the magic of the market that stops us from running out of it. So that's just nonsense. Oil spills. We just had the BP oil spill. You know what they were digging? They were digging out there several miles out, and you know how deep the water was? A mile deep? Why are they doing that? Why are they digging a mile deep? I mean, that's pretty dangerous. It's hard to control things when you have to go a mile down. Well, one reason is they can't get oil in and more, the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Another one is you can't, in Louisiana at least, in the Gulf of Mexico, you can't drill close to shore because it's unseemly, you could have accidents. Well, it's a lot easier to control things when the water is 25 feet deep than when it's a mile deep. So they were pushed out by lousy government plans, and what's happening with the oil sands in Canada? This is an outrage. We can't have that either. So they keep precluding stuff. They keep precluding energy. They won't allow any nuclear development. By the way, my favorite bumper sticker was Chappaquiddick 1, 3 Mile Island 0. Chappaquiddick 1, 3 Mile Island 0. At 3 Mile Island, there was a little problem, a nuclear power plant in Pennsylvania somewhere. Nobody was killed. One person was killed at Chappaquiddick.
What is Chappaquiddick?
Ted Kennedy's girlfriend was killed by him. It was a great bumper sticker. Bumper stickers. The point that I'm trying to make is that nuclear power is pretty safe. Okay, Chernobyl, but they were commies there. What do you expect from commies? Okay, the next one is air pollution. What's going on with air pollution? What's going on with air pollution is the following. And here I'm getting stuff from a guy named Horowitz from Harvard and Murray Rothbard, who wrote the best article in environmental economics ever published. It was published in the Cato Journal, and I also reprinted it in a book that I printed. Just look up Murray Rothbard air pollution. This is the best article ever written on air pollution. What happened in the 1830s is there'd be some little old lady who would go to the court and say, that there factory, I set out my laundry here, it was clean and wet. I come back an hour later, it's dry and dirty. And that there factory polluted it. And I want two things. I want an injunction to get them to stop it, and if they keep doing it, you put them in jail, and I want damages. Or there'd be a farmer who'd come to court and say, that there railroad has sparks that go 300 feet and it caught my haystack on fire and I want damages and an injunction. Would the plaintiff always win? No. But the courts were susceptible to this sort of a thing because these are violations of property rights. This is a violation of the non-aggression principle. This is trespassing, soot, or fire. Sparks. And what happened was several very salutary things. Entrepreneurs were led, as if by Adam Smith's invisible hand, to start using clean burning anthracite coal, even though it was more expensive, rather than dirty burning sulfur coal, which was cheaper. But if you used the anthracite coal, you wouldn't get the little old lady on your back, and you could run your business. There would be research and development in better, cleaner fuels. This is in the 1830s, 40s, and 50s. There was environmental forensics. We know what forensics is from watching those TV shows, blood, semen, hair follicles. Well, environmental forensics is, here's a little bit of dust, where did it come from? Let's go get the guy and put him in jail. And you had non-pollution intensive technologies. There are various ways to make a dust like this. Some have more pollution, some have less. And if the courts are upholding property rights, you veer toward the less pollution intensive ways of producing. Everything was pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. You never get perfection in reality, but things were pretty good. The market was working because property rights were in hand. Then what happened is we had the progressive period in the 1880s, 1890s. Who was number one then? The UK. But the US had to be number one. Now, how do you get to be number one and have more battleships and more guns and stuff? Do you get it by allowing a little old lady run roughshod over a manufacturing plant making steel? Do you get it by letting a pipsqueak farmer mess around with a railroad train? No. So the next time these people came to court in the 1900s, 1910s, 1890s, the court would say, yes, yes, they're violating your property rights. Your stinking, lousy, selfish, capitalist, idiotic property rights. There's something more important than property rights, and that is the public good. And what does the public good consist of? The public good consists of allowing these guys to run roughshod over your private property. We will toss you a sop. We'll have a minimum smokestack height regulation. So before, the smokestack was 20 feet and would just pollute the local people. Now it's 200 feet, it pollutes everywhere. And now, all of a sudden, if you're a Christian businessman or an ethical person and you don't want to pollute other people, and you use the higher cost anthracite coal, guess what happens to you? Ceteris paribus, other things equal, you're at a competitive disadvantage vis-a-vis the guys that are using the dirty burning sulfur coal. So the invisible hand is not working, or it's working in the opposite way that it should be working. So of course the market is failing. But it wasn't the market that was failing. What was failing was that the government wasn't upholding property rights, so the market can't work. The government demands a monopoly over law, and then it screws up the law and it blames the market. That's the usual refrain. That's, I mean, most economists earn their spurs by coming up with new market failures. This is not a market failure. This is a government failure. See, the problem with these environmentalists is they really don't know what is environmentally correct. Take the case of those, big windmill things that they have all around now, 40 stories high. They kill birds. Innocent, nice little boydies, as we say in Brooklyn. Well, which is it? Is it environmentally correct or not? They don't know, because they don't have prices. They face the same problem that the Soviet planners would have faced had they not had market prices. You just don't know how to weigh and balance things. Mises said there was an irrational economy. It's the same thing with diapers. Do you have plastic diapers, which have certain costs, or do you have cloth diapers, which have other costs, not all of which for which we have markets? So you can't compare. It's just an arbitrary, capricious thing to say which is environmentally correct. My favorite one is the birds being killed by these windmills. They love windmills, they love birds. Someone, my friend Michael, was saying that the best way to get these guys is to show a contradiction in their view. Well, here's a contradiction. You love birds, you love windmills. Which is it? You can't have both because the one kills the other. Okay, I've now done roads, immigration, and the environment. I'm now going to do the military. What ticks me off in these discussions is, you know, the American Enterprise Institute and Cato and other warmonger types, they're always saying that we should have a strong defense. Well, yeah, I'm in favor of strong defense. But when you have 800 to 1,000, it's hard to keep track of how many